My name's Joshua Roy, and I've been running seminars and life coaching now for 3.5, almost 4 years, and absolutely changed my life. I went to a seminar in 2015 that revolutionised the way that I think. And I'd done a lot of work previous to this. I'd attended many seminars and many trainings. However, it was the right time for me. The reason it was the right time was I'd just gone through a very difficult experience in my life. I'd lost contact with 3 of my children. You see, I was married to a woman who was very different in the way that I was, and she taught the children very differently, and when things fell apart and we separated, the children came to live with me because she wasn't able to look after them. When she came back, she said, "I'm back now, I'll take the children off your hands." And I said, "No, I'm not going to give them up like that." We went to court, and after a number of battles in court, the court awarded me custody of the children and her part-time custody. Over the next several years, things became different, and she worked with the children, and in 2014, all 3 children rejected me, totally rejected me as their father. And one of them, my oldest daughter, said, "Dad, I still want you in my life." Now, with this rejection and the hurt, if you can imagine being totally rejected by children that you love, I was looking for answers. I was looking for what to do. I was angry, I was hurting, and I didn't want to be angry. I knew there was a better way. I knew that there was a healing that could take place. I'd heard stories of people who'd gone through trauma and difficult circumstances who had gotten healing. Who's heard stories like that? People that have changed their life. And I'd heard those stories, and I thought, well, what about me? You know, I'm a person, I'm going through pain. What could happen? And I went to this seminar, and the lights came on, and I practiced what I learned like a madman. I started doing a morning routine for 2 hours every morning. It included meditation, it included a prayer of gratitude, it included breathing exercise, it included exercise, physical exercise, a workout. It included incantations. If you're not familiar with incantations, it's like an affirmation. Everyone's heard of affirmations? It's like an affirmation with movement. So an affirmation would say, you know, "I'm happy and I feel good." Whereas an incantation could be something like, "I'm happy and I feel good." So an incantation is an affirmation with movement. And so I started doing all these different things each morning and finishing it off by a cold plunge. So jumping into my freezing cold pool every morning, and I did it this morning. So I jump in cold water to reset the autonomic nervous system. So I started doing all these things like a madman. And I found that after about 6 or 8 months, one day I walked out into the woods and the pain was just raw and it was hurting, and I let it out. I screamed, I yelled, I let out all the frustration, and when I left those woods, the pain was gone, and the pain's never returned. And so there was a full healing that took place. I've since re-engaged with 2 of my children. The eldest one kept a little bit of contact up, and my son, who is the youngest, also has kept a little tiny bit of contact, but not much, very, very minimal. And yeah, things began to change because I treated them differently. I was no longer angry. I'm no longer upset. In fact, I turned around and became grateful to my ex-wife for the things that she taught me. And so that transition and that healing that took place in my life spurred me into action to then start what I'm doing now and helping others to also get those same ahas or revelations, if you want to call it, or changes, transformations happening in their own lives. Sound pretty good? So that's why I do what I do now. And I do charge for some of the seminars and workshops that I do. However, a vast majority, a lot of it is free, because I'm doing it because I was helped so much. And this also keeps my journey going, because I know one of the things that leads to fulfillment is contribution, contributing to the lives of others. And if we can contribute to others, guess what? We're more fulfilled. The other part of fulfillment is growth, personal growth. So with those 2 things, growth and fulfillment, and I found that through meetups. By teaching, sharing, I found that I can grow consistently because I'm always studying new topics. That's one thing. And the other thing is I contribute to the lives of others. I help people to be the best version of themselves. So that's what I do. So that's who I am. I'd like to just briefly go around the room and just find out who you are. Just if you could give your name, just for everyone who's in the room, and then just let us know a little bit about why you're here, what you would like to learn and discover when it comes to this topic, which is influence. Okay, we're talking about two things actually, memory and influence. So let's start right here at the front. What have we got?
My name, do I need to stand?
Yeah, you can stand up if you like.
Okay.
Who would like you to stand up? Yeah, look at that. Let's get to know each other. Let's be friendly. Let's get to know each other. Is everyone okay with this exercise? Who's feeling like a bit nervous right now? No, everyone's good. Oh, we're all adults. Excellent.
My name is Chitra, and I'm from mainland China. And I came to Australia for working holiday. And now I want to explore, want to make more friends, and also because before my friend said I'm a little weak in emotion controller.
Right.
Sometimes when I feel that I'm this kind, then I cannot control better, or I cannot remove it better. So I came here to explore more about myself.
Okay, so you're here to make more friends. And you're here to explore. Did you say that some people try to control you emotionally?
Yeah.
And you're here to...
You know, this kind of course, actually, we don't have a lot in at least in mainland China. Like psychology, it's not very common either in China. So I came here for open my eyes.
Welcome. So you came here because the other thing is that in China there's not much psychology in the way of this type of education, so you come to learn. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Hi, hello. My name is Morgan Wang.
Morgan?
It's my first time to attend this seminar. So recently, like this year, I'm looking for like a self-improvement and self-coaching.
Yeah.
I found the history, not history, my background, or maybe something happened to me. I used to feel like, oh, maybe not. I still feel like bad. Some people do bad to me.
Yep.
And sometimes I also think maybe this is a lesson. But I was in the middle right time. Now I don't know where to go. Maybe like you guys, you already go through this way. I mean, you already found the way, like in a better version of yourself, or maybe a better way to conquer the difficulty you suffer in your life.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for people who like you.
Excellent. Welcome. It's good to have you here. Better way to conquer difficulties in your life and in yourself. Excellent. Welcome.
Hi, Phil. My name is Alex. That's my first seminar ever. I mean, I just registered at Meetup. That application, and I'm a newcomer in Brisbane and Australia as well. And I read about that seminar. Probably I can internalize some good habits which I didn't know.
Yeah.
Don't use this as a daily routine, for example. And maybe they will help me achieve my goals.
Okay. Helping to shift your goals. Excellent. Welcome. And next.
I'm Laura. I'm from Colombia. I've been living in Brisbane for 7 years.
Okay.
And I'm a psychologist, so I can really
Wonderful.
learn more about emotional intelligence. And I like to get in contact with all these topics in Brisbane. I study back at home, so I feel that some things need a bit different. So
Fantastic.
I'm interested in it.
Good to have you. I'm wondering if you could move one seat to the right or to your left. Yeah, I wonder if you could move. Because I find that, no, maybe move to the next seat. Would that work? There you go, now I can see you better. Because before I'm trying to see you and you're behind here, so now you're right there.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah.
And next to the back.
Hello, my name is Kumar. I am an IT technician and I've just come here just to find interest in this workshop. It's my first time on Meetup, and yes, just interested in
Just interested. Nice. Welcome. Kumar's interested.
Hey, my name's Alex. I've seen you before.
Yep.
Been great content.
And you came back.
Yeah, I did, man. I think, I always wanted to increase my leadership skills so I can positively influence my family.
Yeah.
I've got a wife and 2 daughters, so
Okay.
I think it starts at home first. Once you influence them in a positive way, you can start influencing other people. So.
Yeah, influencing. I like that. It starts with your family first. And it should be. So it starts with yourself, then your family, and then we can branch out from there. If you haven't got yourself right, it's hard to help anybody. In order to lift another, you must be standing on higher ground. So that's the first principle. And the next one is, how can you help anybody else? If your family, running around helping others in the world, and your family at home is in trauma or in turmoil. You've got to make sure that your family's secure, and then someone filled with love is not only interested in looking after themselves and their family, but they range throughout the world, eager to bless the entire human race. So that's somebody filled with love. But excellent, thank you.
I'm Alexandria. And
Alexandria.
Which is seminars before, and really quite good and really talk to. So I've got my book here, and I like the topic.
You like the topic,
Yeah.
and you like me. It's quite good. I like it. The seminars are quite good. What was good about it?
You have a very energetic style,
Yeah.
which is a game.
Yeah, it is good. And there's a reason behind the energy, and we'll find that out tonight. We actually look at influence, and energy is one of those things that helps us to influence people. So thanks for putting that out. And over here, Richard.
Richard, I've been before.
Yes.
2 times now.
Okay, good.
And I love every moment. Had a bit of a life-changing experience the first time.
Yes.
Which I realised, wow, this is all real. It's true. And Josh is saying, so I'm committed. I'm enrolled in a course as well.
Excellent.
In September, which is great. And I'm really here to learn how to relate better to others, to form relationships rather than just acquaintances. To get to know people on a deeper level. And that's really important. And starting off by remembering their names is helpful.
You're here to form relationships and get to know people better. And it starts with names, that's for sure.
I'm Grace. I'm honestly just on a self-improvement kick. So
Oh, nice.
Any seminar I can find, I'm just tagging along to. So
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Okay, so when did this kick start for you?
I started about 6 weeks ago. So.
Right, okay, that's a fresh thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there an experience that started it off? Was there?
I kind of go through waves like this, to be honest. So
Okay.
I go through a bunch of seminars, podcasts, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'm just on one of those kicks now. So.
Nice, nice. Some people go on health kicks, you go on a seminar kick. I like it. I like it, self-improvement. So I'm just going to double check and make sure that my speaker's working, because I'd hate to be doing this whole thing and find out it's silence. Hello, hello. Yep, perfect. And now we're right to begin. So let's go from here. Remember, at the write-up, I said I was going to do a little demonstration right at the beginning. We're going to do a fast demonstration. So what I'm going to use is a memory technique, and I'm going to remember 20 items. Now, who can remember 20 items in 3 minutes, 4 minutes? Anyone here? Okay, I'll show you how this is done. I won't show you all the techniques. That's on Saturday. Saturday, I'm running an actual memory course. So if you want to learn the techniques or how to do this, you can come to the memory course, but I'll give you a quick demonstration of how it works. So let's go around the room. Let's go in the same order that we introduced ourselves, and let's all get an item each. So think about an item or an object in your mind that I can write up on the board, and then I will peg them. It's a technique called memory peg. So I'll peg these techniques to my brain, and then I'll turn away from the board and I'll tell you what they all are in order. Does that sound like a good trick? Okay, let's go.
Number? Any number?
Now, so number 1, so what is an item or an object? Could be a piece of paper, could be a chair, could be a pulpit, could be a video camera, any item.
Any item?
Name an item.
And just pick
The what?
that one.
The pulpit?
Yeah.
Okay, now I've got to peg it. Okay, good. Next.
Tie.
Okay, tie. Number 2 is... Yeah, got it. Number 3?
Puppet.
3 is a puppet. Number 3. All right, number 4.
Snake?
4 is a snake. Okay, number 5?
Pineapple.
Pineapple. Got it. Number 6. Camera. Video camera or just camera?
Video camera.
So video camera. I'll put V camera. And number 6. Number 7.
Socket.
Salt.
Socket. Wall socket.
Wall socket. Wall socket, number 7. All right, yep. Number 8.
A clothes iron.
A what?
Clothes iron. An iron. for
Iron.
Clothes.
An iron. All right, number 9.
Dice.
Dice. 9 is dice. Number 9 is dice. All right. Number 10
10.
is
Ice. Ice.
ice. Like ice in a cup. Right. Dice and ice. Hope I get them in the right order. Okay, so we've got ice, number 10. So 11. I get them all? So far so good.
Airplane.
Hair,
Airplane.
hairpin.
No, change another one. Zombie.
Zombie. I like it. All right. Yeah, I got it. 12.
Nail.
Nail. Like a nail. Fingernail or like a nail nail? Nail. Okay. Yeah. 13.
Ring.
Ring.
Like
A ring. 13. All right. Number 14. Say again.
Table.
Table. Yeah, got it. Number 15.
Clown.
Clown. Yeah, got it. 16. A water bottle. Number 17.
A smurf.
Is that tissue? Okay, 70 is Smurf. Yeah, got it. Number 18. A
Squirrel.
squirrel. Squirrel. Number 18 is a squirrel. All right. Number 19.
pumpkin.
Pumpkin. Did you say pumpkin?
Yeah, the kind of the pumpkin.
Who's translating? What is it?
Pumpkin. Pumpkin.
Oh, there's a pumpkin? Pumpkin. Like that? That's what I thought you said. Pumpkin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, 19 is pumpkin. Okay. Number 20,
Computer screen.
computer suite. Computer suite. Okay, got it. All right, so let's go. Let's go through those. Let's go from the beginning. I'll see how I go again. Okay, so reader number 1 was the pulpit. Number 2, I'll move so everyone can see it. Number 2 was tie. Number 3 was puppet. Number 4 was snake. Number 5 was pineapple. Number 6 was Video camera. Number 7 was wall socket. Number 8 was an iron, like on an ironing board. Number 9 was dice, and number 10 was ice. Number 11 was zombie. Number 12 was nail. Number 13 was ring. Number 14 was table. Number 15 was a clown. Number 16, what was number 16? Water bottle. Number 17 was a smurf. Number 18 was, what's the rotating? A squirrel. Number 19 was pumpkin, and number 20, no, 19 was pumpkin, yeah, that's right. And number 20 was a computer suite. Whoa, how did we go? Under pressure.
Pretty good.
All right, pretty good?
Very good.
Okay, now name any item, or name any number, sorry, I'll tell you what item it is. So name any number. So go pick one.
Number 6.
Number 6 is video camera.
14.
Number 14 is table.
16.
Number 16 is water bottle.
11.
Number 11 is zombie.
8.
Number 8 is iron.
9.
Number 9 is dice. Number 19 is pumpkin.
Number 17.
Number 17 is a smurf.
6.
Number 6, back to 6 again. What was 6 again? Video camera. Okay, so now name the item, and I'll tell you what number it is. So now we do it the other way. So name the item, any item.
Chlor. Clang. No. Water bottle.
Water bottle is number 16.
Number 11.
I know number 11, that is zombie. So now say the item, and I'll tell you what number it is.
Number, okay, not number. Pineapple.
Pineapple is number 5.
Tie.
Tie is number 2.
Ring. Ring.
Ring is number 13.
Dice.
Dice is number 9.
Table.
Table is number 14.
12.
12 is a nail.
Water bottle.
Water bottle is number 16. So who thinks I've got them? Okay, I've got them forward, backwards, I've got any number out of order, so it's all up here. Okay, so I use this technique if I need to remember something in order. I used to use it for my workshops. So I don't need it anymore. I sort of use another technique. I've gone on to other techniques. So this is one of the techniques that I teach, which is memory pegs. There's other techniques that I teach called memory palace. I actually remember like jokes. You know, stand-up comedians, how they tell lots of jokes. This is what they do. They use techniques similar to this to remember all the jokes. And all they do is they know, oh, number 15 equals this joke. Number 12, number 10. This is one way that they do it. But there's other ways as well. Another way is a memory palace. So a memory palace might be, let's say look in this room and I go start at the door and I say the door could be an object, and I'll put at the door, say, if I was going to use this analogy, I would put a pulpit there. And then I go around to the right and then there's a table there. So sitting on the table, I put a tie there. And then I go over to the garbage bin, and inside the garbage bin I might see a puppet coming out of the garbage bin. And then we've got another door. So I might see, number 4, I might see a snake coming out of that door. So in my mind, I'm able to see all these things. I'm able to use these things using another technique called memory palace. But that's not the only techniques. There's other techniques as well. Anyway, I teach 4 different memory techniques at the seminar on Saturday. So if you're interested in increasing your memory and your ability to recall information, then come along to that. There's actually 3 parts to memory. There's the installation. Before that's the preparation. So the first one is preparation, then the installation, and then the last one is the recall. So they're the 3 stages of memory. So we need to firstly get ourselves ready to remember. We need to be in a childlike state, and I teach people how to do that, how to make sure you're using your imagination to the fullest. You see, if we're able to use our imagination, we can remember much more than if we're just trying to remember. If you think about children, they have an amazing capacity to learn and remember. So what we need to do is become like children. If you think of one of the greatest influences the world has ever known, Jesus of Nazareth. What he taught people was to become like little children. And what he was saying, he wasn't saying like don't understand much and become like a child, but he was teaching them to become more imaginative. And when you're more imaginative, you're able to learn quicker. Okay, the attributes of little children: playfulness, fun, enjoyment, excitement. These things help us with our memory and help to increase memory. So who enjoyed that exercise? Interesting?
Great.
Yeah, who finds that compelling? And who would like to develop that sort of memory skill? Just by way of, it's fun. It's a good party trick, but it's also very practical in that you're able to install information and then recall it at will. And so that helps us. Anyway, let's move on to the content of tonight. And I wanted to start off by telling you a couple of stories. Now, the first story is about a man by the name of Roger Bannister, which many of you would have heard. Roger Bannister is a well-known name in running. As you see, in 1952, he attended the Helsinki Olympic Games. And he was destined to be the fastest runner in that event. Yet, even with Great Britain behind him, he was unable to obtain a medal. In fact, he came in 4th place. Didn't even receive a podium medal. He went home from that event and feeling a bit dejected. And he decided that he would hang up his boots and instead focus on becoming a good doctor. He eventually became a neurologist. As he spoke to his coach about this, he said, look, I'm going to stop running. I've decided I want to focus all of my effort and attention on becoming the best doctor I can be. And his coach said this. His coach said, I really wish you wouldn't. I really wish you'd reconsider. You see, I believe that you're the man that could break the 4-minute mile. He thought about this. He thought about the confidence of his coach. He probably had a sleepless night as he thought about and considered and weighed up his future and his life. And with the coach and the confidence he had in him, that must have stirred him in some way, because he came back the next day with an iron will, with a determination that he would break this record once and for all. You see, what's interesting about the 4-minute mile is that the doctors and the scientists and the psychologists of the day said it was impossible. You couldn't do it. It could not be done. They said it was physically impossible for the human body to run that fast over that distance. And so with that in mind, many people, although they tried, that barrier was elusive. It was there. It was like a brick wall in their path. They could not get through. Yet Roger Bannister decided to put in the work. And he did the work. He did everything he needed to do. He knew he had to keep a very regimented schedule. A schedule that involved study and also training. Eating the right food, making sure that he had a good training plan. He did all those things. In 1954, it was May the 6th, Roger Bannister decided to make the attempt. Now, scientists and the doctors at the time said it could be possible. Maybe somebody could break this record, because they'd noticed that people were getting closer and closer. John Landy from Australia and other runners were really pushing it towards this barrier. And he said, the doctors said, maybe it could be done, but it would need perfect conditions. You would need, for example, a clay track. It would need to be completely dry. There would need to be no breeze. It would need to be 20 degrees Celsius. It would need to have a big stadium with 50,000 people in the audience to raise the energy. Maybe then it could be done. Well, on May the 6th, not many of these conditions were met. In fact, the ground was slightly damp. It was a clay track, but it was slightly damp. There was a lot of breeze, there was a lot of wind, which subsided just before the race began. There was only about 2,000 people in the audience watching. So the conditions weren't met, and yet Roger Bannister decided to make this attempt. As he took off, and as he got to the third lap, the time was 3 minutes, 0.0 seconds, 0.07. 3.07. He would need to do the final lap in 59 seconds. Now, later on, after the race, he described what motivated him to keep going. He imagined himself in a war zone. He imagined the bullets and gunfire were flying over his head, and that he was running not to win a gold medal, not to win a race, but he was running for his life. He pushed himself harder than he ever pushed himself before, and upon falling over the finish line, because he did fall, he actually collapsed at the end of the race with exhaustion. He collapsed with exhaustion, and when they announced the time on the loudspeaker, you couldn't hear it because of the roar of the crowd. The crowd was cheering so loud. Now the end time was 3 minutes, 59 seconds, 0.4. And he broke the record. He showed that it could be done. Now how much influence did he have on other runners? Well, the interesting thing was, within 4 weeks, John Landy from Australia broke that record with a time of 3 minutes and 58 seconds. Several weeks later, others started getting over the line. And then, eventually, more and more people, within 2 or 3 years, there was like 40 or 60 runners who had broken the barrier. So because he showed people that it was possible, eventually more people believed, and when people believed, they started doing it also. And today, high school and college students break this record all the time. It's no longer beyond our human capabilities. And so I wanted to talk today about influence, and firstly about the influence that someone like Roger Bannister had in showing people that the impossible is actually possible. There's another man by the name of Matsui Oyama. And Matsui Oyama lived in Japan, and he started doing karate, as many people did over there at that time. And he'd become a black belt in a couple of different styles, and Masoyama decided that he was in search of something greater, something better. He was in search of what's called the ultimate truth. And later he formed a karate, or a following, called Kyokushin Karate. Now he decided that in order to discover the ultimate truth, he would need to do something different. And so he went and decided to meditate for 3 years on a mountaintop. Now, while this was split into 2 parts, he actually accomplished that goal of meditating for 3 years on a mountaintop. And he didn't just meditate, he was meditating and training. He trained up to 8 hours a day, training his mind, his body, his spirit, his soul. He would stand under freezing cold waterfalls. He would go along the riverbank and find nice and smooth stones, and he would break them with a karate chop. Incredible. Starting to do what nobody had done before. Now he returned from this meditation back to civilization, and he decided to show people what karate could actually do. He did a tour of the USA. He fought 270 fights. Not only did he win every fight, but not one fight lasted more than 1 round. And most fights were over within seconds. Basically, if he punched you, he broke a rib. If you blocked or tried to block or got your arm in the way, he would break your arm. And so fighters, boxers, wrestlers, anybody who thought they had a shot was encouraged to come and take him on. And now because of this, karate began to become something. And also with the help of Hollywood, with people like Bruce Lee and whatever else, karate became a big thing. And so Kyokushin Karate has over 10 million followers. It's a big thing. Now talk about influence. Now it's great to be an influencer, like to be the fastest or to be the strongest. But what about you? What about me? How do we influence people? Like, you may not be the strongest, you may not be the fastest, but we all have the ability to influence others. So we're going to talk today about very practical ways that we can use our power to influence others. The people that I've described, you could say they're the best in their field, the strongest, the fastest. They're the best in their field. And they have a type of power that allows them or enables people to follow them and trust them. And just by the fact that they were great. Not just good, but great, exceptional. So for you and I, there's another type of power that we need to develop. And that is charismatic power. And if you look up power, there's many different types of power. And one of them is charismatic. If we have charm, if we have charisma, people are drawn to us. And when they're drawn to us, that in and of itself increases their influence. And when it comes to charisma, we can actually develop it. There are tools that we can use and practice and get good at that will increase our influence.